Morty was asking where his against the wall.
It's against the wall right there by that door. Good. Can I get around here real quick? Can I get around? Yes, yes.
Yeah, because we have it recording over here and it's recording, so if you don't mind. If you get right up on it, it's louder. If you get back here, it's quieter. So, right. And if you just get closer up to the mic. Hi, everybody. This is Theresa. And again, thanks for coming to our Lunch and Learn today. And we are on Zoom. So if we have some people joining us on Zoom, hello, and we are recording this for the YouTube channel. So those can access it later that's not able to join us here in person. And I want to introduce to you today our guest speaker. It's Jenny Ward from the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. And she is with the Independent Living for people with vision impairments. And without further ado, I give you Jenny. Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to try my best to stay put. And so somebody may need to remind me if I start to move off, but I tend to like to move around, but I'm going to try to stay put so everybody can see me on camera. As Theresa said, I'm Jenny Ward, and I'm from the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, Division of Blind Services. We like really long names, and you know, that's who we are now. We used to be known as Office for the Blind, so many of you may have known our office from that, Office for the Blind. But I'm from, just a little personal note about myself. I'm from here, I'm originally from Eastern Kentucky, from a town called Paintsville, which is Johnson County. But I've been here in Lexington now for a while. And so I'm a graduate of the University of Kentucky. I have a degree in family studies. A little bit of my background is I was a victim advocate here in Fayette County for several years at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, Ray Larson. I moved back to Eastern Kentucky and was there for about 6-7 years, but worked for about 5 years at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office there for Johnson, Martin, and Lawrence counties. I have a son, a 17-year-old son that's senior in high school at Lafayette High School, and he's in the SCAPA program. And during that time, while he was being raised and still being raised, and probably will be continued to be raised for several more years, I worked part-time at Porter Baptist Church at their Mom's Day Out preschool program. So I've done Mom's Day Out preschool, assistant kindergarten teacher. And then I have been now with Office of Voc Rehab for about almost 9 years. It'll be 9 years this November. So that just gives you a little bit of my background of where I come from. So again, when I started working for Office for the Blind, we were Office for the Blind, but about, I think it was in 2018, we merged with Office of Voc Rehab. And, but during all this time, our services have not changed. It's just basically our naming and how we're divided up. But independent living, we fall under we have 2 different programs, and some of you may be aware of this. With Office of Voc Rehab, we have our field services. So that's where our RCBs are located. That's our Rehabilitation Counselors for the Blind. They are located under field services. Even though they work with individuals who have vision impairment, that's the area that they fall into. Independent living, we fall under the Blind Division Services. So that incorporates independent living, orientation and mobility, bioptic driving. The Mcdowell Center is located under that division. So that might kind of help you all know where we all work together, but we have different different bosses, different ways of doing things. So sometimes that can be a little bit confusing of knowing how we operate, but all of us have the ultimate goal of helping individuals with disabilities, those with vision impairments, to succeed. So with that being said, I cover 12 counties, Fayette County being one of them. So it's basically all of central Kentucky that I go to. My job is to go into the home of individuals and assess them for what their needs are. So it is an individualized program. So not everybody gets the same thing, okay? We assess that individual what it is that they're wanting to do at home and accomplish at home. And even with our VR program, it's an individualized program. So when I go into a home, I try to kind of get to know the individual, what it is that they like to do, who they are, a little bit of what their past is. I see individuals, we can see individuals, children, but that rarely happens. Most of the individuals we see fall into the category of the older individuals with blindness. But the oldest individual I've seen is a 105-year-old. I have a lot of 90-year-olds, but the majority of individuals I see are 75 and older, but I certainly see younger folks too. So when I go to the home, what I do is I do an assessment with them. And, a lot of that is just getting to know one another in the very beginning of, what it is you want to accomplish. Why am I here? Sometimes individuals kind of express, we talk about the frustrations of their vision impairment. Some people I see, it's a eye condition that they developed recently. So some individuals I see, it's something they've had all of their life. So, lots of times individuals that I've seen that have had a vision impairment or have been blind from birth or teenage years, their adjustment and the issues that they have are often different than those that I see that are 75 and 80 years old, and they're having to adjust to vision loss. And I'm not forgetting my 30, 40, 50, and 60-year-old folks either. It's an adjustment anytime that there is a vision loss. And how people deal with it varies. So, as many of you all know, nobody can put a time frame on, well, here's when you should know what you're doing. Here's when you should be okay with your vision loss. Because it can hit people at different times in different stages of their life. That driving, I'll say that's often very hard for individuals that were able to hop in the car and go somewhere, and now they can't do that. It could be someone who's trying to raise a child, as a young child. It can be people that's trying to deal with going to the doctor's office and the frustrations of that, and how are they going to get there? Many people in other counties, they don't have wheels, they don't have Uber, they don't have transportation. And I know that's not perfect here by any means, but that is often a problem that many individuals deal with when they live in a more rural area. And there's not a common solution. And sometimes I go into someone's home and I don't have the answer for them. I can't say, well, here's what you should do. Here's what you could do. Sometimes it's just me listening to them and kind of brainstorming with them, and kind of just trying to help them decide, what is it that we can try to work on together to get to that goal. Some people are not ready for me to come to their home. Sometimes I'll get a referral and it's maybe a family member who's wanting me to come see that individual, but that individual, they are not interested. And when I get there, if they're not interested, it's certainly something that I don't say, but you have to listen to me. You have to do what I want you to do. You can't do that. If I go into a home and someone doesn't want to cook, they don't want to work their microwave, I can't make them do that. But if they say, well, I want to work my microwave, and I'll say, well, you want me to help you learn how to work your microwave and put some dots? No, I don't want to do that. Well, okay. So it is individualized, and we all have that right to be able to say what you want to do and what you don't want to do, and what works for you. But it is kind of sad sometimes when you're in a situation where someone is not receptive to even wanting to try something. And I tell a lot of people too, it's about thinking outside of the box. How you used to be able to do something and how you do it now, besides driving for many people, if you're not legal to drive, you're not legal to drive. But as far as within the home, it's thinking outside the box. How can I do this to get this accomplished? A lot of it's about patience, working with an individual about, how you used to slice carrots and cook something in the kitchen. It used to maybe take you 5 minutes, maybe it takes you 20 minutes now. So it's a lot of it's being prepared and being organized. And so those are often the things when I go into a home, what is it that we want to cover? What do we want to talk about? I'll work with people on lighting, how is the light coming into your home? Where is your chair at that you like to sit at? Where is your kitchen table at? Are you trying to watch TV and you can't see your TV because of the glare coming in from the double doors that's sitting there to go out on the deck? What is your situation? If I go into a home and somebody has their blinds open and I say, well, if you'll pull your blinds, that might help. And I get this a lot. Well, I don't like to have my blinds pulled. Well, but if you don't, then you're getting that glare that's coming from the outside. So sometimes it's just, me giving them ideas and suggestions on what might work for them. But I always say I'm not the police that's going to come in and say, here's what you have to do. Here's what you should be doing. But we also want to provide to individuals, the resources. Sometimes there may be devices that I provide, and sometimes it just may be just the suggestions, just the training on giving you ideas and suggestions on what may help you. And again, how I work with someone and when I work with them, that can vary too. So I may go into a home, do the assessment. It may be I get back with them quick. It may be I'm a little bit late to getting back with them. It may be that's only the one time I meet with them. I may meet with them 5 or 6 times. That varies too on how we do what we do. And with that being said, independent living counselors across the state, there's going to be 9 of us. So this will be the first time in a long time that we're going to be fully staffed with independent living counselors. So we're really happy about that. Fingers crossed that the last one will be hired and she will start on September the 1st, and that is in Paducah. And it has been nearly a year now that we've had anybody in Paducah. So we're really excited about that. We just added a second independent living counselor in Louisville. He was just with me yesterday. We were in Anderson County together doing a home visit. So we now have 2 counselors instead of 1 in Louisville. So we're happy about that. Our Somerset office has been was empty. It will be 2 years this October, but we have a new person. She started in June. So last year we had somebody for about 2 months. So basically that position had been left open. So I was trying to help fill in. There were some other counselors that was trying to help fill in during that time. During COVID, that was a really big challenge for us, but who didn't have a challenge during COVID? And I don't know about you guys, but I kind of get tired of talking about COVID. I know it's still there, but it's one of those things that I think everybody is trying to get back to what we want to say normal as we can. But we were sent home in March of 2020. We pretty much shut down when everybody else did. And I say shut down, our offices closed. We didn't quit working, but our offices closed. So like many other people across the country, we were trying to figure out how do we do our job from home. Used to be, it was the whole purpose of independent living was to be in the home. That was the whole goal. On occasion, you might have 1 or 2 people that, no, I don't want you to come into my house. So we would meet with them in the office, but once COVID hit and we weren't doing home visits, we had to serve all of our consumers from home. During that time, I was called and a couple of other counselors, we were called to do unemployment. So not only were we adjusting to being at home, trying to do our job from home, we were also doing unemployment claims. And everybody probably heard all about that on the news too.
Yeah, I read those things straighten me out there.
I've been gone from that now for a couple of years, so I couldn't answer that, but
Haven't heard any more about it.
it was a big issue, when all that happened, but, so we were home from March until the following June, of 2021. So during that time, we were doing assessments with individuals on the phone. We could do Zooms with them if they had the capability for technology. We were just trying to be as creative as we could. So since June of last year, it's something that we've adopted, and it's been really nice. Instead of going back to that philosophy as it had to be in the home, people have an option now. So we can still do things by phone, you know, whether it's Zoom. I don't do Zoom. I've never had anybody I've done a couple of like FaceTime situations, but there's been some other counselors that have done Zoom, but that's something we didn't cut out because still people don't always want you in their home. So that's been something that's been nice for us to be able to kind of recreate ourselves and do that, and not just say, well, sorry, we can't help unless you come to the office. And also during that time of working from home, we started working on some marketing, and it's still a work in progress, but some things that we came up, and I brought some with me if anybody wants any. But like we tried to create some better pamphlets. This one here is safety first, and it's as you adapt to low vision. And it just gives some safety tips within the home, gives you some ideas on what to do. We try to use these for mailing out to individuals. Sometimes we'll get people that are interested, but they don't want our services, but just want some information, or they have a family member that they would like to give some information to about that. We also did them in large print. So for individuals who can see some large print, we've got that. We also designed some really nice cards that have our information. It has independent living services, again, in large print, with some really nice business cards that I have that has, we did them in yellow. Some people like yellow and black, especially if you have a CCTV, but we did them in yellow and black with our phone number really large on the back, for individuals to be able to have our phone numbers or stick them on their refrigerator, just to make things a little bit easier for our folks that we work with so they can keep up with us. I told Theresa I didn't have a lot. I didn't know how long I would go. I've been here before. It's been several years ago. And when I was here, I actually tried to go through the assessment that I do with individuals. But I didn't plan to do that today just because that could be very long itself. But the main thing was I just wanted to let you all know that, you know, we're still here. And we will do home visits if you want us in the home. And that we do have the counselors that have been added across the state. And again, we're really happy about that. Like a lot of people, agencies and companies across the United States, staffing kind of become an issue over the past few years. And so we actually, all of the Lexington office for blind services is full. So we are located on Waller Avenue, and we have 3 RCB, the Rehabilitation Counselors for the Blind. We have all those positions filled. Dana Elbert is our the Voc Rehab Counselor manager for those RCBs for that office. They've also hired another orientation mobility specialist for Louisville. So that's been, we still just for us, we have 3, but that was a new hire that they just added maybe a couple of months ago. So that individual, is my understanding, will basically be working out of Mcdowell Center, but at least that helps free up our other 2 specialists so they can work with our individuals too. And that's kind of all I had, Teresa, but I wouldn't mind to take questions. I would be, sure, Teresa.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the referrals that you can make for individuals, like referring to orientation ability, what that is? And,
Sure, absolutely.
Maybe some independent living training, like what we do here.
Okay, so with our office, you have to be a consumer to be able to receive bioptic, orientation and mobility services, which is the cane training, the long flight cane training, bioptic driving, independent living. You have to be a consumer. So that means we have to have a vision report from your eye doctor. And then with independent living, I have to do an assessment. With a VR counselor, they also have to have your vision information, and then they have to be able to deem you eligible for the program. That I cannot speak about for VR because that is not what I do. So as far as VR program stuff, that would be something that they would have to speak upon. But
That's where somebody would start. If they
that's
wanted
where you
to start.
start. That's where you start. So you have to be a consumer to access our services. All right. So once, I'm going to just speak for independent living. Once you have become a consumer, that means I've gotten your vision information, I've done the assessment with you, and if you qualify, another little thing I'd like to add too is that part of just getting me the vision report and having a referral doesn't mean you automatically qualify either. So I'm going to use an example of someone who may have Alzheimer's or full-blown dementia. If that's part of that assessment. So if I go to your home and I've got your vision information, and of course you know, based upon paper, you qualify or you meet the requirements because of your vision, doesn't mean when I get there, if you're not able to retain what it is that we're going to work on, that's part of the assessment. Now, that's happened very few times that I would say someone's not eligible. We would let that individual or the family members know. But things we would be looking at would be, you know, can you remember to turn the stove on? And I say that kind of lightly because we all have issues sometimes when we forget to turn something off. But if turning on and off the stove, you can't remember to do that, to turn it off, I'm not going to train with you on teaching you how to use your stove if Alzheimer's dementia, that is a situation. So those are the two qualifying things, is the assessment and the vision report. So once you become a consumer, we can talk about the different services that you might want to get. So I'm going to throw out orientation and mobility. Somebody says, oh, I want to use a cane. Oh, I want to get a guide dog. You know, I want to be able to do that. You know, we're often we want people to understand if you're going to do orientation and mobility training, it requires work. So that means you're going to have to meet with your specialist. You're going to have to do some walking. But we also assess too, you know, what is it you're going to be using the long white cane for? So many individuals still don't even want to go outside of the home, but they're always going to have someone with them. So we take that into consideration too. When it comes to bioptic driving, an individual has to meet the qualifications for that. If you want to do the Mcdowell Center, there's certain things that we have to do to get to that point. If you want to go to the Mcdowell Center, they are accepting consumers at this time. However, they're doing a remodel due to some issues, and we're hoping that that is done maybe at the end of the year into next year, is my understanding. So maybe some individuals can then go to the Mcdowell Center. Something that we've recently done too, and I'm sure this is what Teresa's wanting to get at, is with us partnering with Bluegrass Council of the Blind with the technology. So especially our VR counselors are utilizing that. So we can make a referral if someone is wanting to utilize the technology that they can teach here. Because we only have, for our area, we only have one person, the Mcdowell Center. Technology has just been an issue of getting people to help us to want to work with technology. Yes. The Mcdowell Center is located in Louisville. Yeah. But you have to be a consumer to go to the Mcdowell Center.
And it's residential and they're currently using it for public.
And they're currently, yes. And just because you're a consumer doesn't mean you automatically get to go to the Mcdowell Center either. So there's some requirements to get to go to the Mcdowell Center. On occasion, people in the Louisville area can do the day program where they can go back and forth. But the Mcdowell Center is not for everyone. It is just not for everyone, but it is there. Yes.
We are already a consumer. Automatically qualify for the independent services.
That is a great question. That is an awesome question. So thank you, Kimberly. She asked, if someone is already working with the office, do they she's receiving both rehab and orientation and mobility training. Does she automatically qualify for independent living? You have to speak with your counselor about that, your voc rehab counselor. So when you start with our office, whether it's voc rehab, and again, I will speak very little on voc rehab because that is not what I do. But even with independent living, you have to let your counselor know. So often I'll start working with someone and I'll go to their home and we're only going to work on independent living at home, but they decide then after a few months, you know what, I really do want to learn orientation and mobility. Absolutely, that would be something that we can change on your plan, but you have to let your counselor know. Something that we do with independent living, and I get a lot of individuals that magnification is something I work with a lot of people. So let's say if someone has macular degeneration, I start working with them and I give them a 4X and I give them a pocket and a stand. And they start with that. I don't hear from them 2 or 3 years later and they say, I'm just not seeing as well out of my magnifier. Can you come see me? And absolutely, and I can go and reassess them and see if we need to move up higher on a magnifier. That is not a problem at all. Or someone moves. So they were living in a home, but now they're living in a house, and now they're living in an apartment. And they're needing appliances marked, they're needing anything like that. I can come back and do that. So yes, we can open up a new case on that. What I can do or shouldn't do, not really supposed to do, is I give someone a 4X magnifier and they break it. We don't just supply constant whatever it is that someone needs. A lot of people like our felt tip pens that we give, and I'm more than happy to give out a significant amount of felt tip pens. But I'm always like, I can't just mail people felt tip pens because we're not just a supplier of devices. We're not a store or anything like that. But certainly we take into consideration a person's situation. And, I have a lot of folks, they don't even order, they don't have Amazon, they don't order online, they don't do anything like that. So I hope that answered your question a little bit. So yes, if you're receiving service in our office, but you're wanting to get another service, talk to your counselor about that. Okay. Out of all the services we have, which is the one they request the most? Okay. That's yeah. So our VR program is our voc rehab program is our main program. So the amount of individuals that are working in our voc rehab program is much larger than our independent living. But again, a lot of my folks that are older and aren't working, we have a pretty big program. I think our goal, which is down, but in light of things changing over the past few years, I believe our goal that our supervisor set around 515 for the state of our independent living program of individuals being served. I remember several years ago, we had like 700 plus. But so we have dropped just a little bit, but, I couldn't give you a number in our voc rehab program, how many people are there, but our voc rehab program is our main program. We do what? I have some, but I'd be glad to give you my phone number. We'll get you to whoever you need to go to.
If you want to go ahead and get that, we are recording.
Okay, great. Okay. My direct line is 859-226-5167. And I can also give the 1-800 number too, 1-800-291-8424. I'm gonna step away. So the question was, is what kind of information you have to become a consumer for our office? A vision report. Whether you want to do both rehab or you want to do independent living, we would need vision information. You can get it from your eye doctor. And Theresa, just one second, there's been a lady waiting. I think it's Sharon, is that right? Okay. Hold on just one second. Okay.
So if somebody's doing that, general vision, but hasn't done
Someone who has a degenerative eye disease but have not yet qualified for being legally blind, would they qualify for our services? Did I get that right? So we have specific, you don't have to be legally blind, but you have to be severely visually impaired, okay? And we have certain guidelines that we have to go. So if it's something that someone is interested in, they could certainly meet with a counselor and get their vision information to that counselor and let them look at it and make that decision on whether or not. I'm going to give you an example of macular degeneration. That affects mostly older individuals. They say starting around 55, but there's another name for it if it starts earlier. However, we will sometimes get individuals that's maybe 2040. I've even gotten some 2030, but 2040, 2050 technically doesn't qualify for our service with the visual acuity. But what you have to take into consideration is sometimes that can fluctuate on an individual at home. So if we're working with someone and they're 2040, they don't qualify, but they do qualify because it's just a matter of time that it is going to get worse. If it's something like RP, a lot of individuals with RP may have 20/20. Their acuities are 20/20. They don't need a magnifier to be able to read or anything like that, but it's their visual field loss. So if they meet the requirements of that, then that would be considered a severe visual impairment. So no, you don't have to be considered legally blind, but you do have to have a severe visual impairment. And many individuals will start working with them. And I'm gonna say more of our voc rehab counselors will start working with someone and their vision changes significantly over years. So even the type of services that they get over those years may vary because of the severity of their vision has changed. And there is no cost, okay? For independent living, there is no cost. And there's no cost for our voc rehab either. However, they will sometimes work with something if it's something that an individual can't afford to purchase on their own, if it's a particular type of equipment, they will work, that's individualized with the VR. The what? Absolutely, absolutely. Theresa?
If somebody just wants independent.
Yes.
For 70, they got back with the just one. do they call you directly, or do they need to go get a counselor, go through all of that, and then get referred to you?
Well, I would be their counselor.
Okay, so they don't have.
So what they would need to do, if it's an individual 70 that has macular degeneration, I'm just going to use that situation as an example. We like to think that doctors' offices tell individuals when they have an eye disease that they know is going to progress, hey, these services are available for you, but that doesn't always happen. And I'm gonna get to your point here, Theresa, in just a second. But lots of times it's word of mouth. People don't find out about our services, and I know it's the same with Bluegrass either until it's kind of advanced and it's gone pretty quickly, and it may be several years before they know about us. But if someone has an eye condition, an eye disease, lost vision, they just need to contact our office, okay? And we take it from there. What you have to have is a vision report. We do the work on which type of counselor you get, whether or not you get a VR counselor or you get an IL counselor, okay? So those are the two programs that you get a counselor for. IL, independent living, is for everyone. However, for me to be your counselor or the other 8 counselors across the state, it means for me to be your sole counselor, you're not working, okay? Now, I'm going to add a little bit to that. So if you are working, wanting to work, in that process of trying to find a job, or not sure what you want to do, or maybe you're in college, when you call our office and you're questioned on what it is that you're calling for the service, then they will give you to a VR counselor, okay? And you will meet with that VR counselor, discuss your situation, provide vision information. Sometimes they want more information about you, but they do that eligibility process with you. Now, when you're working with that VR counselor and you say, I struggle at home, then they're going to refer you to me, okay? Because I'm their independent living person. And I'll get to you in just, I believe it's Rick, I'll get to you in just a second. So we have our in-house. So a VR counselor can refer to Bioptic, they can refer to orientation and mobility, they can refer to independent living, they can use other outside sources like Bluegrass Council of the Blind. So that is their job. They oversee your case. And me, I can do those other things too. But if you have any type of goal of working, you start with a VR counselor. If you're not working, but you want independent living, orientation, mobility, you come to me or whoever the counselor is for your area. Does that answer all that? It is very confusing. And when you're in it, you know how it works. Or if you've been a consumer and been in it for a while, it still takes a while to understand how it works. And I hate that for individuals because it is frustrating to know, what am I supposed to do? So I think we could all do better. And I think even myself, we kind of know, well, okay, you need to do this, 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 and this is what you need to do or could do. But I think we could all be better at communicating on what is available. I'll take Rick's question or comment. Oh, okay.
He's wanting to know if he's been trying to get in touch with Andre and he's not able to, and he's wondering if he's still working with you. Okay.
So he's been trying to get a hold of our AT person, our assistive technology person in our office. And again, to be able to work with any of our specialized services, you have to be a consumer. So if you're a VR consumer and you're receiving AT through Andres, who our local person is, then it would be, you just need to contact your counselor or try to get a hold of him. Our AT, assistive technology, optic driving, orientation and mobility specialist, we can't just work with individuals if you are not a consumer, okay? So you have to be a consumer to be able to receive those services. Now, we all try to be helpful in the fact that somebody has a problem with a computer or something like that, a piece of technology, and you've worked with someone in our office before, that you just want to call and say, hey, here's what my situation is. You can always do that. But if you're actually wanting to get services, you have to be a consumer. So, Mike?
Yeah, I just realized.
Yes,
I
that's
only got you that way.
I know everybody.
No, but, question, I used to go through services, but I'm from Pennsylvania,
Okay.
so they put me in a blind school. All that, and that was assessment. Is there any way that they can transfer? Like, or do what I have to show them school? Like, scratch.
Okay, so the question was, he received services in Pennsylvania through, I'm assuming, a rehabilitation program there, state. Yeah. So all of our, and so he's wanting to know, now that he's moved here, can he receive the services here? So it depends. So let me say this. So states have blind services. Who it's ran through and how it operates may vary a little bit, or what their name is. But if you are receiving services from another state and you've moved here, if you are coming to independent living, okay, if I was going to be your counselor, you're not wanting to work, you're just wanting independent living, you would be welcome to share your information or have them transfer anything that you have. I would still do my own assessment. We would have our own case on you. Yeah. Still need to have your vision, but we wouldn't just pick up where they left off and say, okay, well, we would still do our own assessment. And the same thing with Voc Rehab. And again, I can't speak exactly on this, but I know we have had consumers move from other states, and with the Voc Rehab Council, we'll try to work with that state to make sure that they receive the services that they need.
Will you have time to talk after?
Sure. So to go to the Mcdowell Center, again, you have to be a consumer of our office. So you have to either be working with a VR counselor or an IL counselor, an independent living counselor. Again, that's individualized on the services that someone may get from the Mcdowell. So your counselor would assess, what is it exactly you're wanting to accomplish at the Mcdowell Center? What is it that you're wanting to get? Again, just because an individual wants to go to the Mcdowell Center doesn't mean you automatically get to go to the Mcdowell Center. There's a lead up to that on being able to go to the Mcdowell Center. Yes. Yeah, a lot of people have been several different times. It kind of depends on that person's needs. Initially, it's about a 2-week stay for them to be able to do the assessment. Is typically about what it takes to be able to determine what it is you'll be receiving while you're at the Mcdowell Center. Not everybody wants to go stay, a lot of people, and that's what we try to accomplish if we can. Because we'll get people to say, oh, I have to go to the Mcdowell Center. I've lost my vision. I need to go to the Mcdowell Center. I need to go stay there. Somebody told me I need to go stay there. Well, and I mean, I'm not dissing the Mcdowell Center. They're part of my agency. My boss is there. But I will say the goal would be for us to start at home to say, what can we accomplish at home? Because that's where you live. That's where you're going to be doing your cooking. That's where you're going to be doing those things. So it just depends on how intensive you want your services to be for the Mcdowell Center. Mike?
One more question. What is it? I know this is kind of, but what is it independent? Like living by yourself, you guys find housing for that?
No, we don't find housing. And we don't actually provide services like coming in, cooking and cleaning and doing daily things like that for individuals. We don't provide that. But what we do is we come in and work with you on what is it that you're having issues of accomplishing because of your vision loss.
Yeah, I remember.
Find solutions
Same thing.
That's right.
to do it independently.
Right. And everybody has different living roles. Some live alone, some live with a husband or wife, some live with children, some live, we will still go to a senior living, place. Because sometimes individuals are still trying to heat up food in their microwave, or it may be just people that have lost their vision and they can't find their shampoo bottle. It can be the things that are the frustrating parts about vision loss. Locating things. Christy, I believe I see your name tag.
Thank you. I have diabetes right now too. And my vision is 2224. And it fluctuates. It can fluctuate. I mean, depending on what I eat, how I eat, how I used to a long time ago. If you guys were the ones that were also getting picked you up there by, is it Patchen?
We used to be located at Action.
I used to work with y'all, and then I got out of that because I didn't really need to go any further. I self-taught myself, and I got to do kidney and blood. I started here, and then when I got my kidney in 2012, I had different occupational therapists that taught out the box, that knew how to put both dots on, knew how to make things accessible, and knew that. But I did go for 2 years.
So lots of times too, and not everybody wants our service, and that's okay. It's not something that they have to have just because they're losing their vision. It's a choice. But lots of times too, it may be that if it's someone who's just struggling, they're doing okay at home, or like you said, you're self-taught, but they need support. I've always said Bluegrass Council, mentor-mentee programs, support system, that may be what the individual needs more than they need our services. But I think having those options of people knowing, and a lot of people have worked with us, and even if their vision gets worse, they're still doing well at home. So,
I started here in 2005.
oh, wow.
Gonna have to take one more question and
Oh,
then wrap on up.
And I didn't think I would go this long. It's 1:45.
Okay, is there one more question? Any more questions?
And I want to say something too, since there's not any more questions. So there is one more. Yes, sir. I can't see your name tag.
Charles. Listen, is there more than one rehab center in Kentucky now? I heard there was one in northern part of Kentucky.
So we have the Mcdowell Center, which is located in Louisville. That is for vision. Then there is the Carl G. Perkins Center located in Thelma, and that's for individuals who have other disabilities that they can go for job training, life skills, and that's in Eastern Kentucky. So as far as any two rehabilitation centers that are located or that is within our office that does that, that's the only two. But we are partnering with Bluegrass again, and I want to just say part of that is to help us with the assistive technology for folks that we're working with. To where if we have someone, I know particularly for independent living, if we have folks that are learning new technology like iPhones and things like that, we can refer them to Bluegrass and be a partner with them. And like I said, I think VR is utilizing you guys was the main goal, but
Yeah, but it is good that even people that aren't working can
right,
still
right,
get some help on happy independent at home.
absolutely.
Technology.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. A little
Sure.
bit. I know there are some people that want to see some of your brochures, but I'm gonna jump up here.
Thank you. And Jenny's gonna hang out for just a little bit and hand out those pamphlets. But right now I need to ask our 2 survey questions. This is again, just anonymously, kind of, sort of, because we can't see, but we do have someone counting hands. This is for grant reporting If you learned any new information today, and this is not just Jenny's presentation, if you're sitting and sharing with each other, if you learn new information today by attending this event, please raise your hand. Keep them up for just a minute until we tell you to put them down. Okay, thank you. You can put your hands down, and thank you, Amanda, for counting. And the second question is, if you found the information covered today helpful to you or someone that you know, so if you're not visually impaired, but you know somebody and you're going to share it with them, if you found the information helpful to you or someone you know, please raise your hand. Okay, and if you could just count the number of people that are in the room, just so, because sometimes people left, and then we're good. Okay, thank you so much for answering those questions. I have a few announcements, and following the announcements, we will be doing our food distribution over here in the food room. We do have the dry goods, and we also have a couple of refrigerated items they'll be offering to you. Hopefully you remember to bring along your green BCB zippered insulated bag. If you didn't, that's okay. We can drop it down in the paper bag. If you're traveling on wheels or expecting a long ride home, we can give you a substitute green bag, but we do ask that you bring them back. We only have a limited amount of those, but the announcements, I can't hear you. What did you say? Can you buy one of them? No, they're just one per consumer, and we give those out for our blind and visually impaired. Because we got them with a grant, we're not able to sell them. Coming up, so Susan wanted me to announce the September outing. We'll be back here at BCB. We'll be back here at BCB on September 6th. And it's from noon to 2. We'll offer popcorn and snacks, and we'll be finishing the third part of the movie Atta Girl Kelly, which is a story, a Disney movie about a guide dog and the life of the guide dog, and it's the person that it's serving. It was really interesting. I thought it was great. So even if you join us and you didn't join for the first 2 parts, it's okay. You're still going to find it interesting, I think, and you are welcome to join us. You just need to register in advance by calling our office or letting one of the staff know. That's again on Tuesday, September 6th. We're going to be having a BCB membership meeting. It is our quarterly membership meeting. It's also our annual business meeting, which means we will have elections for new board members. And that is going to be on September 21st. From noon to 3. All of this information will be in our newsletter. If you haven't already signed up, you can sign up for email newsletters, or we also have it on our recording. So if you call our phone number and press 8, there is a recording of our newsletter. We change it out each month. And if you press 9, there's an abbreviated calendar of events. So if you're looking for what events are coming up, you can press 8 or 9 to get that information on our recording. Then our next Lunch and Learn, I'm real excited that, as many of you may already know, the whole wheels situation is changing. It's currently operated by the Red Cross, and that is going to be changing to a new company. It will no longer be operated by Red Cross, and we're going to have someone from Lexington come and speak to us about that whole transition, what's going on, what it means for riders on wheels. So again, that's going to be our September Lunch and Learn on the 4th Wednesday in September. We're going to have a wonderful meal. Also, we're getting a very, what's that? 12, no, the 12 to 3 is the membership meeting, because we also have elections. That's on September 21st. The Lunch and Learns are always 12 to 2 on the 4th Wednesday. And again, if you have any questions about that, just dial our number and press 9, and 9 is the calendar, and that'll tell you all of the events and the times and everything. The next Lunch and Learn, we will have a lunch. It will be a grilled chicken and pasta salad. It's greens with pasta and grilled chicken. It's very, very good. It's one of my favorites. It's from a Greek restaurant. And it's very healthy and very, very tasty. And we will have a few options. I know that we do have some people that are gluten-free and dairy-free, and we do have options. So if you plan to join us, let us know that you have those dietary needs, and we can do the plain kebabs and salad that is gluten-free and dairy-free, if you'd like to participate in that. And if you don't like those choices, you are welcome to bring your own lunch and still socialize and have lunch with us. We're also looking at doing something called a food fair in November. So we're going to do a food distribution. We won't have any meetings in November for Lunch and Learn, but we will do a food distribution on November 9th. And you'll get more information about that coming up, but we're hoping to have several other agencies bringing in some goodies and things for you to take home. And we'll give you more information about that, but keep November 9th open because we'd really love for you to join us for our food fair. That wraps up our announcements. I'm going to stop the recording, and thank you all for being here and have a great day.